It's a few minutes past high noon on Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Welcome to the public eye with an open mind on the Bridge 99 FM. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm away from studio today in the United States, and I welcome my co-host, Chief Pearnel Charles, in studio in Jamaica. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Ronnie. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to everybody for being part of the Bridge Nation by tuning in to the Bridge 99.1357 on the FM dial. And in a few minutes, can you imagine, we'll be connecting with Irwine Clare on our sister station, Irie Jam Radio in New York for the Global Connection Hour. Now begins at 12 to 1, because of daylight savings time in the United States. Remember, you can also watch our live stream at the bridge99fm.com, wherever you are in the world. And you can follow us on Instagram at the Bridge99FM and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bridge99FM, to watch previous episodes of the show. I hear they're hilarious. And you can keep up with all the happenings by downloading the Bridge99FM app in the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Call us if you will. The phone lines are open. Telecommunication services to Jamaica have improved so much in the last generation or so. The numbers are 876-676-4996. And if you're in the tri-state area, join us by calling 1-888-546-8742. We'd love to hear from you. In the Global Connection, we're going to be joined by assistant hurdles and long sprints coach of the Clemson Tigers at Clemson University, Lennox Graham, who will be discussing his journey as a track coach from Jamaica to the United States. As you know, the Penn Relays were at the height of our athletic interest over the past little while. Lennox is going to give us a roundup of how our athletes performed at the recently concluded relays and his outlook on the future of sports in Jamaica. Thanks so much for being with us. We pay tribute, Pearnel and I always do, to the institution of Bridge 99. Jamaica, with all of its challenges, with all of its huge opportunities and blessings, cannot afford to be a divided nation. That doesn't mean that we all sing the same Sankey, but it means that we are all united in striving against the difficulties that the world places upon us, that our history bequeaths to us, that our personal selfishness sometimes imposes on the common good. We need to be united in order that everybody can have their cup of tea, their hope for the future, their chance to really live an Irie lifestyle. And so, the Bridge recognizes that Jamaicans are all over the universe and allows us to join in this unique media opportunity. And so it's with that outlook we continue this great odyssey today. So, Mr. Charles, yes, grateful sir. For your company, sir, and your anchoring in the studio this morning. What are the main issues on your mind? I have a big one for you, if I may go first.
Well, first, let me say we have a bright, cool, sunny climate that everybody who is out of this country would like to be in there right now, enjoying this water, the sunshine. And don't make anybody fool you. We have good people waiting to take all of you home and give you some fine Jamaican food in our hotels. Fine, because Ronnie, it's round leaf time. And
really?
Yes, so you can, if you want to run like Bolt, then you have to come from Trelawney, where round leaf is a specialty down there. But on the other hand, this morning is a cool morning. Yesterday we had Parliament. I think we have Parliament again today. And thank God we didn't hear much of the headline in the negatives last night. So we're on a route that we want to be a better nation, protect our people. Around the world, we are hearing wars and rumors of war, and we just want to know that the people in Jamaica, as you said earlier, we have something to unite with. Although we may be 2 or 3 walking on different lane, the full stop is a lane where it joins all of us in the interest of our country and our people, particularly the young generation that must take it from here on.
I love that. I'll hear when he is ready to join us from Irie Jam. Soon come. Meanwhile, I'm anxious. There's an item in the news today. Well, first of all, let me ask you. I listened to the weather report on the internet this morning, and they say that Jamaica is likely to undergo a little bit of a heat wave over the next few days. You were saying it's quite cool. I wonder, is the report
it's cool.
not happening yet, or is the reality different?
I wonder if it's cool before the heat. But today, it's still welcoming. But some people outside who are in the snow now or who are in very cold don't mind coming and get warm up, and they can cover themselves if it gets a little too hot. But we're still holding. We expect that after the heat we're going to have some rain, hopefully, and that will be cooling it down right across the nation.
Good. Pearnel Charles in the newspaper this morning, one of the heads of the business processing outsourcing industry in Jamaica, Mrs. Gloria Henry, a much respected industrialist, service provider, is saying that Jamaica may need to import specialist workers to be able to graduate to the higher levels of skills and performance required in the worldwide outsourcing industry. I thought I'd ask you for your reflections of that as a veteran trade unionist. Is this acceptable? Is this the way to go? What are your feelings?
Well, Ronnie, let me tell you, if we are going to be a part of the international situation, you have to recognize how many of our well-trained teachers, doctors, nurses, construction workers, top laboring workers, thousands of them are abroad. They are in Canada, in America, working on the farms, they're in the hotels. So what are we going to do if we train them and they're in other countries and we don't have? What is wrong in bringing some here to help train those of us who left here so that we can, in fact, if we train enough and have an exchange program, I don't have a problem. Where we have a problem is when we are not training and we are going to bring in other people to work. We are satisfied, I am satisfied that if we're going to bring in some people to train those of us who are here so we can send away some more and then we have enough for us here. I don't have a problem.
Pearnel, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Mr. Charles?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
You're hearing me loud and clear now.
So clear, right. So clear. I think you're beside me.
Well, I'm not. Unfortunately, you're there by yourself. Doing a good job. I read that article and right away I was like alarmed. And I don't know why I'm alarmed, because we've been talking about this thing for a long time. The BPO industry provides Jamaica with a lot of jobs.
Yes.
There are those who will criticize it and say, well, the kind of jobs that it can also do is at the higher end as well. Why, after all these years, we have not positioned ourselves for these type of the next level up? I mean, Jamaica has to, by now, gain the necessary, one would say now, experience being in this business for quite a while. We know should be looking at the premium jobs. Now, I am alarmed that we are not in a position to accommodate such even after these years with all that we have known in this business.
I don't want you to believe that we are not accommodating a major part of what we need. But we are also, Ronnie will tell you, in fact, when he gets here some morning, he's upset. I said, what happened? He said, when I passed a long line of trained Jamaicans who are waiting on a passport to go to the United States, Canada.
But why?
Britain.
But why, Mr. Charles? Why?
But just as simple as this.
Yeah.
People hear that they can have a better life. We have a system where if you want to go, we don't have a barrier to say you're a teacher, so you cannot leave. You don't have a person say it's the people's money that train you, so you have to stay here for 10 years. We don't have all of that barrier. So
but
because
Mr.
those people who are going away,
yeah,
they're making a major contribution to the country.
Agreed.
Now,
But listen
if we could train more, is what I think you should be saying.
But it's not only train more now. If the BPO is going overseas, why is that so? Is it that we don't have the capacity for these folks, or we don't have the caliber of individuals suited for the jobs that they're now going to go overseas? Because these people coming overseas not going to come to Jamaica for the salaries that you're paying them right now.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't think that many of who are rushing to the United States know where they're going.
Well,
I think they believe that what they have heard about the United States is you go there and boy, money just flow over you.
I used to believe that. I don't believe that anymore.
No,
I used to think so.
You say you don't believe that anymore.
No.
So,
because when they come here, Mr. Charles,
yes,
they work their tail off. And they're the ones that contribute back to that same $3 billion that come back to Jamaica. They work their tail off. I don't know why they don't do the same thing in Jamaica, but they come here and they work their tail off.
I will tell you why they don't do it. In this country, we are barraged with a number of people saying, boy, if you just touch the United States, money fall like rain.
No,
it's so easy.
No, sir.
No. In fact, some of the people in America, and I had Ronnie will tell you, I have said this on many occasions. I went to New York when my uncle was there as a carpenter. He worked from daylight till night. And when he sent money and dungarees and other grip those times to the parish, everybody said, boy, what a whole heap of thing in America. But you need to go there and see how they work.
Yes,
Jamaicans in America, they work, I don't want to put a quantity in it, several times harder to take care of themselves and family and friends in Jamaica. So people think it's free.
No, I don't think they think it's free, sir. I think they realize that when they work hard, there are certain things that they can attain. Because you see those same persons are the ones who drive the minivans here in New York and now create a significant transportation industry. Those persons are the same ones who work hard, pool their money together in susu and all that kind of stuff, and are now buying houses. Those same persons are the same ones who have a duality in purpose, duality in households, maintaining their households here and helping people back at home. So I think it's because they realize they can attain something when they work hard. I don't know. But they come here and they work hard. Most of the Jamaicans that leave Jamaica, you see standing those lines. So I don't know if it's a situation of a cultural perspective here. Why is it they feel they can't stay at home and achieve these things? That is something for Jamaica to address.
But you have two colleagues right here. Ronald Thwaites was at a university up there. I was at a university up here. Why did we leave Jamaica? Why did we believe that we could get an education in the United States? We never stayed. We came back. Several of who went with us are in the United States now, living a higher life. Yes, it's a higher economy. It's a more developed country. Things are easier there. But we came back and tough it out. Others have not.
Yeah, but you can't. You see, we can't have everybody come back. People have roles to play. I'm talking about the fact that we started off this conversation that the BPO industry needs to fulfill certain jobs. How do we, if we can just use that as an example and start to build on that, how can we now mitigate? What is it that happened why we could not fulfill those particular jobs? There's something that we can change in Jamaica to start to stem the tide there, that there are certain in that industry, and I use that industry because I think Jamaica has had significant experience in that industry. So I believe that we can do some things to retrofit or to reimagine certain situations to accommodate those kind of job skills and elevate persons within the industry.
Well, let me
That's
tell you
all I'm
something.
saying.
That's Ronnie. Ronnie, please come in here, Ronnie, because I know you have a page that we wrote together. You got to come and put the solution that as you see, because you've been there, you've been here, and you are there now, looking here. You're fully aware of what is happening. Go ahead.
One of the things that I think that we need to recognize is the extent to which Jamaicans and immigrants in general, how valuable they are, how much they contribute to prosperity in the countries that they go to, not least the United States, not least the great tri-state area where Irwine is serving. That's one. Secondly, if I'm in complete agreement, I'm writing on the same page that Chief Charles is, that where we need to bring in people in order that they can, in fact, train our nurses, our BPO workers, whoever. By all means, let them come. But we have often confused that. And we have said, oh yes, when they come, we're going to ask them to train and then we will take over. And it doesn't happen.
Right.
And I do think that we have to be careful, because we need to look at our training modalities, or that tremendous resource of $11 to $13 billion a year that comes in contributions to the Heart Trust, to make sure that we are using it efficiently. One of the things that depressed me when I had some responsibility for Heart was that the vast majority of the trainees were at level 1, maybe some at level 2, when in fact industry and the world, technology, was demanding that they be up at level 5, level 6. Now, one of the reasons, quite frankly, why that wasn't happening, is because the trainees who came into Heart, the people destined, for example, for the BPO sector, did not have a sufficiently robust foundation in basic education to take in the skills that we are now looking to recruit aboard for. So we have some things to do, as well as we have to be perfectly clear and honest that where we need foreigners to train, to fill a gap, there's no doubt that we're going to have to do that.
Indeed.
How
indeed.
do you react to that?
And I agree wholeheartedly. You see, but how the story came out, Ronnie, was that they were going overseas to recruit. And I think that's what seems to jump out at people. If that is the case, where you need to bring folks in to train, that's understandable. You know, but I do believe, though, sir, that in that industry that I think we have spent a lot of time in, a lot of investment has been good for Jamaica. I think we're at the zenith now as to how it truly operates, and we should be moving that largesse of individuals who are employed there to provide opportunities for them to upscale their skills, their skill set.
Irwine, I don't think that any of us, well, let me put it by myself. I can tell you the truth. I honestly did not know that this industry could reach where it reached in such a short period of time. You'd have to be a miracle man, you know, somebody with long understanding of development. It has moved so fast. I said to Ronnie the other day, men represent mathematics. That is not to say that some of our best mathematicians aren't women. But most of our boys and men who have become top mathematicians are the private sector. And so we don't have enough mathematics teachers, men, in the lower schools. And so I said to Ronnie, can we make an application to the private sector?
We have some technical
to
issues
make
we're going to address.
Some of these technical, these mathematics teachers even give 1 day or 2 days to the school system.
Whatever it takes to do it.
It would make a big difference.
We have to do it. I got you. Thanks so much for this. We have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to welcome our guest from Clemson University, very, very important that we have a word with Lennox Graham. So come.
We welcome you back to Irie Jam 93.5 in this, the Global Connection, where we link with our friends in Jamaica, notably Ronnie Thwaites and Pearnel Charles in the Global Connection. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Well, let me say that Mr. Lennox Graham
Thank you very much.
is on his way. He's not yet with us. Or you're not with us yet, Lennox? No. So I'll go back to what I said earlier, because I need you to understand the spirit of people in Jamaica hearing about the great Irwine Clare in New York, who used to be down in St. Ann, and look at him now.
I'm still in St. Ann, by the way. I've never left St. Ann.
Yeah, but the point, Irwin,
I know.
we have to understand that there is a spirit in Jamaica. There was a time when you didn't have any jobs, when the ship was waiting, when everybody was, who you have one or two people abroad and say, just come boy, you'll get something to do, you can take your ideas. That spirit, as a, when Ronnie Thwaites finished up in America, he came back to Jamaica and went to another education institution in Britain and back to Jamaica. When I finished my degree in New York, you know what I was doing? I was driving a cab in Manhattan, Long Island, Brooklyn, Bronx, and when I discovered that the work that I could get, I was making on a cab. So therefore, I decided to listen, man, let's go back to Jamaica and see what can make out. And I'm still in Jamaica.
There you go. But listen to this now. And I think it's an appropriate time, Mr. Charles and Mr. Thwaites, just to interject something here. And we see what's taking place in Florida, which is the closest point to the United States for Jamaicans to enter. And there are many Jamaicans there. With the harshness in the immigration policies by a governor on its inhabitants. And I dare say no, that the whole aspect of people just coming ashore to get a work to do, etc., is something that is not encouraged if you're not going through the legal processes. It's now becoming harder in the state of Florida. And that's by no means to say that in any other states it's easier, because we condone the activities. If you're not here legally, we're not going to encourage anyone to come here without the necessary capacities of legalities. No, with that being said, there are lots of Jamaicans today who are concerned about their wherewithal in the state of Florida as it relates to their immigration status, and even those who may be family members of such, because of the harshness and the vitriol that the governor of Florida will be implementing very soon when it gets to his desk. And that is many of the benefits that would be excused are now being taken back. Persons who would be found harboring undocumented immigrants could find themselves in trouble with the law. Organizations that provided services to the undocumented population will find their services restricted. The whole situation of healthcare could become a challenge for those who are undocumented. It's a clarion call to Jamaicans and Caribbean nationals in South Florida that this is a time now when those who are in a position to effectuate change have to stand up, meaning those who can vote hard, their voices have to be louder. Those who are in a position waiting to become citizens must become citizens. And those who are immigration challenged have to make sure that they're securing opportunities to move themselves to the next level. These are challenging times. And I'm saying this to folks in Jamaica who know maybe looking at that, the land of opportunity, just come in, as Mr. Charles had intimated earlier, that money no grow on tree here. I'll tell you this, the challenges to exist are becoming harder, especially in the state of Florida.
Let me say this to you. I'm not going to answer you, because I don't want to detract from what you have just said. And I hope that message go out to the Jamaicans here. It is not easy to be crossing a river in mud and all kind of thing, trying to go into the land of opportunity. And when you get here, them say, go back to hell. Anyhow, Lennox is on the line, Ronnie.
Jamaica is not hell, though. Jamaica is paradise. Yes, we have Lennox. We have Lennox Graham on the line. I just quickly tell you who Lennox Graham is, gentlemen, and to our audience. Lennox Graham is a motivated, personable business professional with over 16 years track record in the NCAA coaching and recruiting, staff development. Let me tell you, he has represented Jamaica in the Olympics, World Athletic Championships, the Continental Cup, Commonwealth Games, and many teams that he has coached on behalf of Jamaica. Lennox is also the first coach, gentlemen, to coach siblings in the same event final at the World Championships, notably Danielle Williams and Shermaine Williams. But most importantly, that Mr. Lennox Graham is a winning coach for Kingston College at the high school championships. We welcome Lennox Graham to the program. Lennox, how are you, sir?
Thanks for having me, guys. Blessed to be here, doing well.
Great.
Happy to have you.
Ronnie, I'm sure you want to.
Only by association. Well, I want to introduce myself as coming from the other side of North Street, but nonetheless having the most cordial
Ronnie,
so
you know,
welcome.
Ronnie,
Thank you, sir.
Lennox is one of our shining stars at the University of Clemson, and I think we just want to ask him, his journey from Jamaica to the U.S. and how has it been in his capacity.
Indeed.
Well, the journey has been a very eventful one. It's transitioning from paradise, as you know it, to the land of opportunity, as we call it, is usually a tough one. And so after volunteering for 14 years and ending up as head coach at Kingston College, I transitioned to a Division II Johnson C. Smith University in 2007. It was a tough transition because at the time I was the only breadwinner in my family and everybody else was a dependent. So not even voluntary work they couldn't do. So it was tough financially, but it was rewarding on the track. We had a couple of Olympians, had world champion Danielle Williams the year after she graduated from that Division II university. And after 10 years there as head coach, stadium manager, cross-country coach, I transitioned to Clemson as the long sprints and hurdles coach here. And that has gone very well. I got my first NCAA Division I champ this year in the 60-meter hurdles. Gianno Roberts, who was born in St. Thomas, went to licensed primary, and he's a Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
And that we've also had other very good performances over the years, and we continue to improve. I think our men's team has been ranked 7th for the last 3 weeks in the Division I ranking. So we've been doing well.
Indeed. I know, Lennox, at some point early on in your joining Clemson, there were concerns that Clemson would have been pulling back from their prowess in the whole athletic arena, and it caused for consternation. But we have seen that Clemson has stood the course, and we now have several Jamaican students at Clemson. Talk to us about that aspect of it and the opportunity for you to recruit.
Well, yes, that's true. Clemson actually discontinued the men's program. I think it was November of 22 or 2021. And it was supposed to be effective in the end of the year in 2022. But by the time we got to April, thank God, we reinstated the program. And so we didn't lose a year. And it's been pretty good since. The men have stepped up, the ladies have stepped up. We got third in the ACC on the men's and women's side in the recently concluded NCAA ACC Indoor Championships, and we've continued to do well. Recruiting in Jamaica is always a challenge, but it's rewarding. Recruiting anywhere is a challenge, because as a recruiter, you're going to lose more than you win. You're not going to get everybody you go after, and more people are going to say no than say yes. But we have been grateful to have had quite a few good Jamaicans coming through here. Recent ACC champion, Onika Wilson, out of Idel. She was the champs winner last year. I coach her personally. Another person who I personally coach is Lashana Graham, out of Edwin Allen a few years ago, in the 400-meter hurdles. She's also here along with Kiara Grant and others, which I do not coach. Therese Roden is coached by our head coach, Coach Elliott, and he was the ACC champion and got fourth place in the NCAA championships indoors this year. So we've had a very good representation coming out of the island of Jamaica.
And you know,
Irwin, did you get the answer from this gentleman as to why those of us in Jamaica can look to other countries where there are other developments and other privileges, other opportunities? Yeah. So it's not that we don't love Jamaica, but it is always a better chance.
Opportunities.
We have Clemson there who call them and say, I can get you a scholarship, come, I can take you out of what you call paradise, poverty, and take you into greatness, but tough, because it's not easy in America. It is not. A lot of people believe that when you kick stone in America, is goal you're kicking.
Well, you bucket too. But, you know, Ronnie, I must also share with you too that Coach Elliott is also Jamaican. So again, there you understand the prowess of Jamaican coaching. Ronnie, you were saying?
I'm asking why are Jamaicans, coaches and athletes, as good as they are? And I also want to ask Lennox, what is the method of recruiting? The process that Pearnel has outlined is absolutely correct, full of integrity, but it is very important that I want to hope that it is emphasized that these young people, as adept as they are in running, jumping, doing anything else, need to get a solid education for the future. What are his comments?
Lennox?
Oh, absolutely. We recruit student athletes, and student come before athletes, of course. And the way I judge success, is, firstly, you get your degree, because that's the reason you come to a university. We know in Jamaica there is a lot of people who stay home and go straight to the clubs. And for me, as long as the clubs has some academics associated with it, then I am good with it. If there's no academics, then I think it's kind of a hard road to take, considering that any form of athletics that you choose, it won't be a career forever. It's a short career. So for us, getting your degree, it's primary, and will always be primary. Recruiting out of Jamaica, sometimes it's a challenge to get the youngsters directly into a Division I institution because of the subject choices. For example, they might not have a science or a social science. They might have one and not the other, or they might one of each but don't have the fifth subject, which is another social science or religious education or something. They just don't get the combination right. So sometimes it's hard to get them directly in, and they go to a JUCO or NAIA or something like that. But eventually they do come to us, and we try our best to get them to matriculate, and of course not to be lost in all of that, to improve in their athletic ability.
Mr. Clemson, at this stage, I think on behalf of Randy, myself and Irwin, we need to say thank to you and others like you who have guided our Jamaican young girls and young men into university, and I understand many after their training are coming back to Jamaica.
You know something else too, and I think this is where I'd like Lennox to just give us some more information on the challenge for Jamaican athletes to transition into the university here takes them many a time to community colleges. I can speak of an individual I'm very much familiar with, and I'm quite certain that can be a good example. And you know who I'm going to here, Lennox, Daniel Cope. Talk to us about that individual, and now being at Clemson, what he has been doing there.
Daniel Cope is an exemplary human being, first and foremost. He went to junior college for 2 years, community college, and came to Clemson. Excellent young man, well-mannered, doing well academically. He's also won the ACC in the weight throw indoors, and is very competitive in the discus, also in the hammer outdoors. So he's always contributing as far as athletically to Clemson. but that young man is a better young man than he is a student, and a better young man than he is an athlete. He's just an excellent young man, and anybody who know him would be pleased with him as a representative of Petersfield and a representative of Jamaica, and a representative of any student athlete. I mean, I admire the young man, and we have conversations regularly, even though I'm not his event coach.
And the reason I bring that up to you now, go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead, Ronnie.
When I hear that, I get goosebumps, because that is exactly what Jamaica stands for. Somebody coming from Petersfield or from License or from wherever, and from Lime Tree in St. Anne, Bamboo, where I believe you come from, and being what has Lennox Graham said, the boy has manners, he has academic, he has character first and foremost, he has academic capacity, and he has athletic prowess. That is who we are.
Exactly.
And he's searching for something. He's searching for something, and he wants to get it.
Yeah.
And he has the guidance like Mr. Clemson.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that is where we have to congratulate men like yourself and many of the Jamaicans who are there.
Jamaica good, you know. We take Lennox Graham and turn him into the university, sir.
Yeah, I noticed that right away. But you know, gentlemen, I stay on this course here to say this, because leading up to the next question for Lennox, which we may not necessarily take after the break. But this is it now. A Daniel Cope would not have had the academic skill sets to go directly to Clemson. His pathway was a half scholarship to Cloud Community College, where he had to go and prove himself. You see, so many times our athletes are not going directly to these universities like the Clemsons. They have to take the other route. But it's with their stick-to-itiveness, guidance, it does work. So I want to say to student athletes in Jamaica right now, listen to Lennox Graham and may aspire to go to Clemson, that it may not be a direct route. You may have to go to other institutions because of, unfortunately, academic skill sets are not there to meet.
Qualification.
Let me respond to that when you come back from the break. This is the public guy on the Bridge 99, thinking with the global connection with Irie Jam and Irwine Clare. We're talking with Lennox Graham, Jamaican coach at Clemson. We soon come back. Irwine Clare from Irie Jam Radio is with us on the Global Connection. The Honorable Pearnel Charles Senior OJ is our co-host. You know, Irwin, are you there?
Until he gets back, let me see. Mr. Lennox, are you still there?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Mr. Graham, are you in contact with the Jamaican trainers? Because, you know, if I was a trainer in Jamaica and I said to somebody who can run well but don't have the background to get into university, to say when Mr. Graham gets you, he can guide you to either high school development or a community college development that takes you into university to a profession. I mean, it makes good sense starting from out here. What do you say about that?
Lennox? I don't know if he's still there.
Yes, I'm in contact
Lennox.
with a lot of the Jamaican coaches. I am. And some are personal friends. Some I have come to know since coming to the United States to work as a university coach. Because, you know, coaching is a profession that you stay in for a very long time, most of us. So I did, for example, 14 years volunteering at Casey and now 16 years working in the NCAA. So I know a lot of coaches. We do encourage them to seek help from us if we're necessary to get tertiary education going first and foremost, and also to get further development going. Some people have reached out to me and I have communicated to them over the years to just assist them, even if we're not personally recruiting the kid, to assist them in helping a youngster to get their lives a little bit better. Because personally, I coach primarily because I want to add value to someone's life.
Indeed.
I was working in information technology in Jamaica for a long time and volunteering as a coach. That's what afforded me the ability to volunteer as a coach. And so now I see myself more as a mentor than a coach. And it's teaching life and teaching youngsters what to expect at the next step. Obviously, I don't know everything, but having been a young man at some point, being an athlete at one point for Kingston College and Jamaica, I kind of have an idea of some of the things to expect in life. So it's preparing people for the next stage in life.
Indeed.
And that's what we do. And anywhere that I can help, I do. And most of the coaches who know me would know that. Clemson has 12 and a half men's scholarships and 18 women's scholarships in total. And that's not per year. That's in total across 4 years. And then if you exhaust that is when someone graduates, that you get someone else coming in. And so I will help more than 18 people, more than 12 and a half, because I know it's not only about me, it's about the youngster, the next generation coming up. And we are trying to empower them to be a little bit better than we were when we were young.
Indeed.
I just want to pause to say, Mr. Thwaites, Mr. Charles, I've been listening to you on this program since I was a youngster, so it's a privilege and honor to be here talking to you guys.
Indeed. Lennox, we just completed the Penn Relays, one of the longest running athletic events in the world, where Jamaicans, I was going to say your college, your high school was the first school to go to Penn Relays. Share with folks listening right now the importance of a child, of a school going to the Penn Relays and what it means. What are the opportunities?
Well, it's first and foremost, it's a nice reward. When you compete for your high school, and it's a much smaller group that will go to the Penn Relays, almost the cream of the crop. Of course, you have to be over a certain age, but coming to the Penn Relays give you an opportunity to see firsthand what the next level, which is a tertiary level competition, would be like in the United States. It also gives you the opportunity to be in community with people who you would not normally be in community with. You have other high school coaches from Jamaica. You have high school coaches from the U.S. You have community college coaches from the U.S. You have university college coaches from the U.S. So it's a great networking opportunity. A young lady walked up to me at Jamaica Bickle, just passing through there, and just asked me for my number. Coach at Clemson asked for my number. I am from this school, I run this event, and I gave her my number. I said, reach out whatever time. I may or may not have a scholarship for that young lady, but I am for helping these young people to navigate their next steps in life. And I'm sure I am not the only university coach who thinks like that. I just keep saying I because I'm representing myself. I don't know how other people think, but I'm sure other people have similar thought processes. Same thing with the coaches. They'll come, sometimes they see and they say, oh, I have this young lady or this young man. I know in your conference it's very competitive and they'll not be able to get a scholarship there, but can you help me? Do you know of anybody who I can call? And sometimes it's just passing on a number. And university coaches here who know that we have the contacts in Jamaica and we are from there. Sometimes they'll say, I'm looking for A or B or C, and you help. So we're like a kind of a conduit, kind of helping people all over the place. Obviously, I want to help Clemson first. But it's not only about Clemson, it's about the youngsters getting an opportunity to move to the next level of education.
So, I mean, you see why the Jamaican, like Mr. Graham, is making a massive contribution to Jamaica, because it goes all the way back to St. Ann, where a guy can run. He comes to KC, and there he hears that there's a Mr. Clemson who's going to help him to a profession, not just, he's not going to run all his life, but he's going to get a profession that can take him maybe back to Jamaica.
To the next level. Ronnie, you're saying, Ronnie?
What makes Jamaican athletes stand out?
Say that again, Ronnie.
Lennox.
What makes
I didn't hear
Jamaican athletes stand out?
What makes our athletes stand out?
Yeah.
Well, in my humble opinion, what makes Jamaican athletes stand out, it's partly our DNA, how we came to be out of many one people. We had a rough passage from different parts of the world to Jamaica. We had struggles. We still have struggles. And I think a lot of it is, it's talent, obviously, because I always tell people you will never see a mule in the Kentucky Derby. You have to be a thoroughbred. And so it has to be talent also. But we have a very structured system in terms of track and field. We have a very structured, any sport whatsoever, but we have a very structured system for track and field, great coaches, great institutions. The culture has been there before I was there, and we just are encouraged to continue that culture. For my high school, for example, I mean, it's the brave may fall but never yield. So we just keep going and going and going and going. And no matter what comes up against us, we always think that we are the best. Sometimes we are the best in areas that we don't necessarily would like to be the best in, but that's just us. We just want to be the best at whatever we do and feel like we can conquer no matter how small we are. The slogan, lick about with Talawa, comes to mind. No matter how small we are going to try to overthrow anybody that's coming up against us. So I think it's more of a talent-based DNA and a mindset based on our culture, how we have grown over the years.
Indeed.
When I listen to you, I can tell you, when I listen to you, it excites me because we complain about Jamaicans to go away, but the diaspora from Canada to the United States to Britain, just Jamaicans are there who is not helping to coach, is helping to send back some food for the children here so they can start to run.
And
you're in the right spot.
And at the same time contributing to where they are, because that's also fundamentally
that's correct.
Important. Ronnie.
Yes.
Tell us from your standpoint, Irwine, before Lennox goes, how did the Penn Relays go? Did you get sufficient support to do what Team Jamaica Bickle does? What's your overall assessment of both of you in terms of the event? It's important.
Sure. I want to say thanks to all the stakeholders, especially Ronnie, Pearnel, and Lennox, to our volunteers, because we had in excess of 150 volunteers who gave of their time and efforts to come out and sacrifice. We were taking care of our athletes since the week before last Friday, all week, providing them meals, assisting them accommodation, transportation, and importantly, it could not have happened at a more opportune time because it rained throughout the Penn Relays. It was cold, yes. And we were housed in the palestra. And the palestra, I don't think we truly get it. Lennox did because he experienced it, and I wait to hear his comments on that. We were able to have our athletes in comfortable environs that was also strategically located to the stadium, and our operations went off without any major hitches. And I just want to say thanks to our stakeholders, our sponsors, our partners for making it happen, Ronnie. Lennox, your perspective.
Well, I also want to add my thanks to Team Jamaica Bickle, and all the volunteers who work there. I mean, every year I go to Penn's, I see new faces volunteering, which is kudos to all involved in just spreading the news. And people it's just obvious that people want to come back and give back in any little way that they can to their country and to other Caribbean countries. As far as Team Jamaica Bickle this year, I've watched Team Jamaica Bickle move a little bit further from the stadium to now right in the middle. There's nothing closer than the palestra to the actual stadium. And as you said, the weather was terrible. I had a rain suit on at the warm-up track, and I was soaked to my shoes. I had rain suit, rain shoes, and everything was soaked because we had to be out there at the warm-up track all day on Friday. It was terrible. But when I went to the Team Jamaica Bickle area and realized that student athletes could be on the inside doing their little preparations, they had the meals there for them. I mean, they were in luxury compared to us as far as just accommodations. And it was beautiful to see. It was beautiful to see Jamaicans come together. It was beautiful to see Team Jamaica Bickle housed indoors. The tent we used to be at up to last year. With that rain that was falling, it would have been difficult for people to make their way from the stadium over there and to house. You probably could house as about, I would say, 20% of the crowd that you can now house. And it's beautiful to see the massage therapists, just people volunteering there and giving up their services. And I hope that the youngsters who experience that will be encouraged to not only come back to the Penn Relays, but once they have gone on further, that they will come back and help their institutions. I saw a young lady, and I'd call her name now, Nafine Briscoe, who came out of Edwin Allen and came through Johnson C. Smith at Division II when I was there. She was one of those who are instrumental now in the whole foundation that they formed up to support Edwin Allen. And she's back there. I saw her in there at Jamaica Bickle in the palestra, just enjoying her time giving back to her institution. So as Sir Charles was saying, that it is a cultural thing now where we're giving back to our institutions in anywhere, any place that we're planted, no matter where we live. We love our country.
Indeed.
And it was awesome to see that.
Indeed. Lennox Graham, on behalf of the Bridge and Irie Jam and all our listeners here, I want to thank you very much for the ambassadorial role you continue to play and for the works that you do in contributing to Clemson, but also facilitating many Caribbean athletes, especially from Jamaica, to get an education. We thank you very much for all you do, sir.
And that we just say from the Bridge, from the Jamaican end, Ronnie and myself, we are proud of you.
Yes.
And please spread the word among Jamaicans. You are there, but you are here with us. You are doing what is helping us. Thank you very much. May God bless and strengthen all of you.
Thank you very much for having me, people, and I am blessed to be here, sirs. Thank you.
Right.
Irwine Clare.
Yes, sir.
Someone must live, you know.
Yeah, man. Let me tell you something.
Someone must live.
You and Pearnel would have been happy to be in the palestra last week. Or would have been proud because guess what? We Jamaicanized it. We Jamaicanized it. And I'll share this with you. Upon the time we left the palestra last Saturday night, and I had to leave before my team was finished there because I had other things at the hotel. The executive vice president of the University of Pennsylvania said to me and was showing me pictures that he was posting in his Facebook or wherever his social media platforms. And he said to me that Team Jamaica Bickle will be back in the palestra for Team Jamaica Bickle 30th at the Penn Relays next year. We're looking forward to that, gentlemen. And it is on that note that we end today's program. We want to thank you all for being with us, Ronnie and Pearnel. And I shoot it back to you now as we now cater to our closings here in New York. Until next week, all the best to you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Irwine. We are very happy to have you on.
As we close off this segment.
Go ahead, Ronnie. Close it off.
Colonel Charles, what a sweet interview. What a good spirit. I had no idea what was coming with Lennox Graham. I did not know of him before. But if as a representative of the best of us abroad, serving the Jamaican people, nation, and broader causes, makes you feel very good, you know, sir.
It makes you feel very good. And Ronnie, there are so many of us who don't appreciate what is happening to us abroad. We don't appreciate what the Bridge has done, that connection the Bridge has done between the diaspora. We don't appreciate it. But when you listen to Mr. Graham, it's a family affair. And I'm very happy that I got a chance to speak with him, and I hope that he can say hello to the rest of Jamaicans.
He will, and I think it leaves a good taste in everybody's mouth, and that's how we must be. Sweetness on the Bridge. This is the public eye. When we come back from the observances on the hour, Pearnel and I will continue the discussion on Jamaican affairs. Stay tuned. Soon come. Joining us on the Bridge 99 FM public eye with the open line. Chief Charles, who's the co-star on at Thwaites. We just had a very, very heartwarming and instructive interview with Lennox Graham on the Global Connection with Irie Jam host Irwine Clare. Jamaicans all over the world making an impact. Proud of them. Proud when they are humble, when they are dedicated to service, and when they are looking at unity among the people and for whatever cause as a prime motivation of their actions. Pearnel, I'm anxious to turn our discussion in this section until, and if the telephones start to ring, to the issue of constitutional reform, which I know is of interest to many people in the diaspora. To kick off, I noticed that someone you're familiar with, a relative of yours, Stephen Golding, the son of Mrs. Lorna Charles Golding and former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, has come out strongly for an executive presidency. Speaking again very interestingly and appropriately at a People's National Party function in Montego Bay, he argues that if all we do is to become a republic but keep the forms and structures of the previous monarchical situation, we won't have done ourselves justice. What do you think, Uncle Pearnel?
Well, I tell you something. Since the discussions had widened to discussions at university, at hearings in Montego Bay, and all over the place. I have a feeling we're not ready yet. I have a feeling we have a far way to go because there are so many ideas coming up that it doesn't seem as if there's the agreement that the PNP and the JP say they have. It's not an acceptable agreement. It's not just transfer the Governor General name to somebody else with doing the same thing. People seem now to want to say, look, let us elect somebody, but that's a different form of government. Because you elect a president, and then you elect a prime minister, and you elect a parliament. It's a complete different story than just say you continue as you are, and then both of you decide who you're going to recommend as president to continue the function of the Governor General. Irani?
But then it seems to me that you are. Well, I think you're perfectly correct. The interests and the sentiments of the people have overtaken the presumptions that this whole constitutional reform exercise began with, and it is no longer correct to say that because the JLP and the PNP agreed on certain basic things that this now sufficiently reflects the will of the people. And I don't think we should panic about this, Pearnel. I think that the world has changed. We have a situation where we want to include as many people as possible in the decision making. People in the diaspora listening to us are a big part of that who have not been sufficiently engaged so far. All right, we're not going to criticize anybody. We're simply going to point on something that needs to be done. And I think what Stephen Golding has said is reflective of what I hear from many, many people, that this time around they don't want cosmetic change. They want fundamental change. And that's why I felt it's important to raise it with you today. And I'm extremely fascinated at your response. We are not ready yet.
Well, let me tell you something. We are not ready yet. This idea about the PNP and the JLP agree on a point, so let's go to Parliament next week. Forget it. You are not. If you go to Parliament and go to an election to say whether or not to go, you're not going to even get people voting. I can tell you that is the feeling I get on the ground out there. Right? They want something new, and why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't we have something new? Other countries have had it. We haven't studied governments all around the world. You know, we just say, "Well, it used to be king and governor general and 2 elections." That is an old-time thing to some of these young people, to the new generation.
Let's discuss it, because my own view is that the retention of the post of Governor General as a representative of the Queen was instituted just for what it symbolizes. In 1962, my memory and all my studies since then has indicated to me that there were many people in Jamaica, many international connections, who were very concerned that the Declaration of Independence was to involve as little rupture and change as possible. And therefore, we simply substituted Sir Kenneth Blackburn for Sir Clifford Campbell and onwards from there. When you are, however, removing the monarchy, then you have to ask the question, do we need King's House and Jamaica House at the same time for the same purposes?
Could I disturb you there? Because the question is, we only had King's House because we had the Queen or the King.
Exactly, sir.
King's House was representing them, and anything we do in our Parliament had to go to King's House as if we were reporting to Britain even when we were independent. So therefore, if we are now going to have a parliament that elects a government, 50% plus one, or whatever you want the quantity, why do we need King's House?
That is the point that many people are making, and you are expressing it very well.
Well, no, but I tell you, we only needed King's House then because we had to report to Britain, because we were belonging to them. Now, if we are withdrawing from them, why do we need to report to somebody at King's House? To sign, after the Parliament passes a law, it has to go to King's House to be signed. Why? Why?
Because, well, okay. The argument is that you still need a symbolic, non-political head of state, which speaks to another reality, another divisiveness. And frankly, our governors general, I have great respect for them all, but they have not felt it possible to be really strong symbols of unity in the country, you know.
But how could they, Rana? They don't represent us. They report to Britain. They could take certain actions against us that we can't do anything about, you know. You realize that?
Well,
as Governor General, they could give certain instruction. They could close down certain things, change certain government. Now, when you withdraw all of that from Britain and take it into our Parliament, what are we going to King's House for?
That's part of the question that is being asked by persons like Stephen Golding and many others.
Well, but take one other point. If then we elect a prime minister, or we elect two parties, one with a majority, and we say to the majority, you name a prime minister, okay? Who is going to say then you elect a president and he's less than the prime minister? No, you're a scholar. You're a top scholar in that. Who is going to be bigger if you elect a president and you elect a prime minister and others who form ministerial and opposition? One, then who is bigger than who? Who say what? Are we doubling up certain things that we don't need?
Yeah. My thought is that we need to look at this is the occasion, a blessed occasion. Indeed, I agree, a courageous occasion for the Prime Minister of Holiness and others to look very deeply at this whole thing. I think you're aware of my view that not only should the president be separately elected, he or she is to be the leader for the time being. We don't need anything ceremonial beyond that. But I also believe that change must not be to give the present powers of the Prime Minister some further boost and produce more autocracy and less democracy. As you know, my view is that the structure of the Parliament must be looked at the same time as we're looking at the roles of the head of state and the head of government, jointly or separately. And that, in fact, what is holding back Jamaica in many respects now is the chronic, inbred, unavoidable divisiveness of those elected by the people. And that it is, if we are facing difficult times, we're not achieving all that we want to, and that we need to have more cooperation and between people of different political sentiments.
Ronnie, as long as you have a competition for power, as long as you have a competition for who leads, you are going to have that divisiveness. I don't care what you're going to say, because somebody have to say, I am better than him for me to be elected above him, because of the system we have. We don't have a system where it is distributed by all the people who have been elected by the from the government, from the people.
I don't agree with you. I understand why you say what you do, but let's discuss this. It's important for our listeners, because while we are going to have differences, while choices are going to have to be made, while power is going to have to be distributed,
yes,
it need not be concentrated. And at the same time as we will have to elect one person from one side, perhaps, as a president, we can also institute checks and balances in ways that are going to make people understand that they are sharing in the exercise of power and in its restraint, which we do not have now.
So you are saying that, let's take the Jamaican situation. You are saying that the JLP and the PNP could go to the people and say, elect us, and they will not get 50% plus one, would go as it is now. How would we then select the president if we don't put that before the people and said, elect, pick somebody and tell us who? You're going to come to Parliament to do that selection?
No, I believe that I respectfully agree with those who are suggesting that at an election we should vote for a president.
At the parliamentary level or at the people's level?
And at the people's level.
Oh, okay.
And we should also vote for the member of parliament for our constituency. And
yes,
therefore putting it in concrete terms, at the next election after this constitutional reform, the public would vote whether they wanted Mark Golding or Andrew Holness to be president. And they would also vote whether they wanted Ronald Thwaites or Pearnel Charles to represent them in the constituencies that we ran in. And I believe that I go further, because I say that rather than one party who gets 50% plus one, or not of the electorate, but of the voters, takes everything, all the offices, but rather we should have a system of proportionate representation, where power is shared and division is reduced.
But how would you work that out? Let us say you have PNP, you have JLP, and you said to the people, you either elect Andrew Holness or Mark Golding as president. That's two elections there: election for parliamentarians and election for president, right? Is that what you're saying?
I am.
Is that what you're saying? That we have election for parliamentarians and election for the president?
They do that in the United States.
Yes, but they go further than that. They have a state situation where they have almost a total assembly.
But but we don't have that. But we have constituencies, and therefore, you elect who you choose as the best person to be president, with his powers circumscribed and set out in the Constitution, and you elect your member of parliament. And
that is what I wanted to clarify that, because if you let us say you elect Andrew Holness for president, and then you go down to the parliamentary seat and you elect more PNP parliamentarians than JLP parliamentarians, how do you deal with that?
What you do is to do what they're doing in the United States right now, where you have a Republican-controlled House of Representatives and you have a Democratic president. And while that system has many defects and may not be working very well given the polarities of this country for other reasons, the fact is that people understand that there is not contingent just on one party getting 50%.
Maybe we have to, when you get back, we have to sit down and look at other governments.
You know what it would mean? You know what it might mean?
Yeah.
In the distribution of seats, in the distribution of votes for representatives, a miracle might happen. that Pearnel Charles and Ronald Thwaites might end up in the same cabinet.
You mean?
What a bam bam.
No, but that wouldn't be bad because we can have we have many things to that satisfies us to work together, and we have a nationalist spirit. But when you go,
isn't that what we want for everybody, sir?
Yeah, but
isn't that what we want for everybody? We want a kingdom where there is neither Jew nor Gentile, slave nor freedman.
Somebody just called me to ask me, why do we want to disturb what we now have? We have a system where we have...
It's not working.
No.
Because
forget
it's
it.
not working.
Hold on. We have the PNP and the JLP. So at that stage, we will select a prime minister from the majority party. Okay?
No.
Why do we now need to go to...
that anymore.
Why the third force is necessary? He wants to know why the prime minister...
It's not a third force.
The president, why the president is necessary?
Because that person in modern democracies has so much power and is such a crucial functionary of leadership that it is important that people choose at that level and not leave it to the delegates or the parliamentary caucus of one party or the other who is in ascendancy to choose that person. That is a legitimate argument. The system which we now have is not all bad, but it dates back and it connects to the British culture, which British culture has a certain presumption of the kind of committee, the kind of people that it was designed to serve. We are different. We cannot abide the differences of the past, the differences that infect us now. The very issues, Pearnel, I know you agree, the very issues that we have been discussing on this program of how we deal with escalating training among workers, how we deal with suppressing crime, how we deal with all of these intractable issues. Why is it that after 62 years of independence, poverty still rides the country? Any one of them. We need to have a common cause. And you will never have a common cause when people are at perpetual odds with each other, which is what happens in that aisle that you used to grace for so long and proudly in Gordon House. Yeah, but I shouted across to the other side and the other side shouted across to me. It can't work.
Yeah, but you know something that you are not taking a look at? That is only not even 50% of the people are willing to go to vote. Are you suggesting that you're going to say voting is compulsory?
Chief, give me a break.
That I need to have further thought on. I don't like to be compelled to do what ought to be in my own interest. But I really want to say to you that one of the reasons why people are not voting is because they do business with the system we have. But if they felt that their vote would count, if they felt that they would be heard, that their representatives would have some real function rather than follow PP cluck on a prime minister who effectively controls every member in the cabinet.
All right, Ronnie, hold it there. We're going to take a break now, and then we come back and you finish what you're saying. Welcome back, Ronnie. We want to put something at you that has just hit me. Are you there? Yes.
I'm there.
At present, the Governor General answers to the government. Would you say that?
Yes.
Okay. So, whichever party forms the majority in Parliament selects the Prime Minister, and this Prime Minister selects the Cabinet, and the Cabinet runs that part of the government and sends it to be certified at King's House by the Governor General that sends it back to Parliament to everybody. Am I correct?
Reasonably so.
Okay. Now, how would that work out then if you have the PNP and the JLP? Would they be putting up they're president, or they would be agreeing that we're putting up one person. And if they agree they're putting up one person, why put up the person? Why not just select the person?
Because the people have a right to choose. The political parties are not the ones who are going to dominate us. Don't you understand, Honorable P, that the public of this country wants to break the hegemony of the JLP and the PNP?
Yeah, but if the PNP and the JLP
it's hard for people like you and I, because you are even more invested in the JLP than I am in the PNP. But it still is hard. People do not trust the political parties anymore.
But who say
they have a rule?
Who say
they don't trust us?
Who say they are going to trust us if we said we're putting up one person as president? Who is going to decide which person you put up? Are you going to put up two persons for one to be elected?
No, if you run a nomination,
yes,
and the people are nominated, and a vote is taken by the electorate. Why not?
So you mean several people could run for president then?
Of course.
And those who get the majority would be at what level, above or below the parliament?
Their functions are to guide the executive. They would have, in many jurisdictions, power over international external affairs. They would have influence with the structure of the economy, and they would have some powers over legislation. I'm using examples of many places in the world. The complex exercise that you correctly say we need to undergo and not rush it, we're not ready, involves talking about these things and determining what are the executive powers that we think should be vested in a president, what are the checks and balances that must ensure that those executive powers are not used arbitrarily.
Somebody has called to ask you, why trouble the present system?
Because it's not working.
Well,
it's not working. It is working in the interest of a few narrow people, a narrow band of people. And I'm not throwing word at anybody. But don't you see it, Pearnel? The governments end up, whether it's your side in government or my side in government, we end up underachieving because people take advantage of the division that is chronic between us. They take advantage of the fact that we do not respect each other. They take advantage of the fact that they can always wait us out till the next election. It can't work this way.
Well, a man just called to say, well, then somebody called to say, get rid of the parliament, then and just elect a president.
No. That's a dictator. If you do that, power corrupts absolutely. Yes? There's no need. The president must have power. He himself must be elected. Yes.
Yes.
We're agreeing on that. But the representative function of the in our case, a member of parliament is very, very important. But right now, an MP has very little influence over a prime minister in Jamaica.
The who?
When you are in opposition.
Yes.
When you are in opposition, you're a neuter, you're a cipher. You can chat and make all heap of motions and noise like I used to do. But it doesn't have any effect.
No, the president goes on, the prime minister goes on to do what he wants. The government goes on to do what they want.
So what people like Stephen Golding, what many others in civil society, so-called among the churches, very important, are saying we can do better. We need a different system where power is shared rather than concentrated. And certainly where we do not have symbolic props, which do not reflect our past and the hegemony that people used to have over us, but which we do not want them to have anymore now. So,
well, I'm going to suggest to you that we put this on the table for discussion, that we invite some of the people, not just the political scientists, some of the ordinary people, to come and on the bridge and let us know what do they think about it. What position do they think? Because I do not believe that the present system that we are rushing, that we have agreement on, is different from what we have. I don't think it's going to give you anything different.
I love your thought on that one. Let me say something else though. A generation ago, you see, Professor Trevor Monroe wrote his thesis, his doctoral thesis at Oxford University, describing the movement from that led to our independence constitution. I am shocked that so little attention has been given to that scholarly piece of work. I'm shocked that somebody like Professor Monroe or Attorney Michael Hilton, who is a constitutional scholar, were not placed upon this commission. Yes, and I am also shocked, sir, that the commission itself seems to be confining itself to an agenda which is different from what the people are telling them. A voice like Mr. Stephen Golding is not inconsiderable. He's not a thoughtless person. Who is going to answer him? When they had the telecast, I don't know if you saw it, sir, of the so-called town hall that they had in Montego Bay, when the commission members were asked about the powers of the presidency, etc., the answer they got was foolishness from the commission members, and one in particular.
Yeah, but let me say this to you. The diaspora is also having their meetings. The PNP having their meetings. Yes, the JLP having their meetings. Who is going to say what is what? I am confused as to how we are going to come to a conclusion in 2 weeks or 2 months.
No, we can't. If there is one thing that I'm hoping that I can respectfully ask you to support today, when you're saying it already, is that well, I've used this phrase before: listen first, review afterwards, reform afterwards. Listen first. What this thing has done is to open Pandora's box. Pandora's box needed opening, Pearnel, for all the good reasons that you and I have stated them, and I follow back of your wisdom in most regards. Now, what are we rushing this thing for? When whatever goes before the Parliament in this bill, which is promised by the end of May, this month, yes, where there's one Dega town hall meeting take place so far. What is the rush?
Well, not only what is the rush, but a lot of institutions that to make contribution have not yet met, and there's no guarantee that when they meet, they're going to make a submission, and the submission is going to go to who? I don't understand. It can't be a 1 month thing.
No, and that was what they did in 1962. If I could just tell you what they did after the committee of parliamentarians and others in Jamaica had decided, with plenty of British modeling and assistance, what the Constitution should be. With the greatest of respect to our forefathers, some of them national heroes, they said, "Oh my goodness, we better listen to the public," and they asked for submissions, and the submissions were barely looked at. And it was said clearly, the record of is there, quoted to where some of the people who are there, people like Mr. Glasspool, people like Mr. Wills Isaacs, yes, others, said, but we're hearing these things, but it's really not going to change anything. We have decided. No, I don't believe these were evil men, but I am saying that that this is 2 generations, 3 generations ahead now, and we're not going to put up with that. We're not going to do it. So what Mrs. Malilu Fort and all of her worthy gentlemen and ladies think they are doing, it is an exercise in futility and confusion. They better stop, listen to the people. Then their role is to distill and to discern, and then to come to the people and to say, this is what we have heard from you, not what we have heard from the delegates of the PNP or the JLP. Yes, this is what we have got from you, and these are some of this is some of the deep wisdom coming from the soul of Jamaica that we need in order to make this country great.
But you're forgetting, Ronnie, that the country has been put into at least 2 political states now, PNP and JLP, and who is not participating still have a political agenda. Right? If there's a if there's a third force, well, it's against it too.
No, but what? Okay, we will never have a choir of angels, but we can do without the Tower of Babel, and we can do without the people, the majority of our people. The situation with the last election was shocking, Pearnel. If you and I never ran in that election. But if you are elected by a minority of people, not for the first time, but once again, in more aggravated numbers than before, who simply say, "I'm no business with you. You can take my money out of my pocket if you have to. You can set police on me. I'm going to do what we have to do. We're going to go away if we can go away." This is not a nation. This is a fraction.
I am concerned.
We can come back now.
I am concerned that even the polls that are being conducted, a number of people who are participating in the polls don't vote, and probably will never vote. And so when you call an election, you get less than half of the people on the voters list vote.
And then we go on as if everything is quite okay, and that is we ruling anyway. You could run your household like that, sir. You could run your business like that, sir. No. The Honorable Pearnel Charles. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have exciting discussion on the public eye, bringing the diaspora together. This is the Bridge 99 FM. Thanks for being with us on the public eye on the Bridge 99 FM. Pearnel Charles and I are talking about the affairs of the nation. You're now going to take your suggestions, sir, and let us have a section of this program which concentrates on constitutional reform in succeeding weeks. Thank you very much for that.
Let's bring in some of the constitutional people and some of the people who are going to be required to vote, who don't have any big constitutional degree, but they are out there and know how to feel it.
Jamaica people.
Yes.
There are 2 other things that I want to cover with you before the program ends today. I was looking at the import-export figures, you see?
Yes.
And while we are grateful and that the economy seems to be recovering in many respects from the ravages of COVID, what we were looking at, if you read Mrs. Elizabeth Morgan's piece in the paper, in the Gleaner today, is that we are still running a trade deficit of over $4 billion a year, Pearnel. That is the amount which our imports exceed our exports. Now, as much as we want, as we hope that tourism will retain some of the money, the big money that they are earning in Jamaica, as much as we hope that the BPO sector, which we were talking about earlier, earns net returns, it can't cover that, sir. And therefore, our dollar is bound to be under pressure. Imported inflation is going to liquid. And I am again urging us to pay attention to these fundamental structural things about our economy. If you are spending more foreign exchange than you are earning, that can't be right.
Well, Ronnie, explain to me why, if you drive on the Marcus Garvey Highway or Marcus Garvey Drive and coming from Spanish Town and look to your left, you can't see the end of the maybe thousands of cars that are sitting there waiting to come on the road. If you go into Mandeville, which I went a few days ago, nearly every yard has cars for sale. And this is all around the island. Now, it required petrol, it required roads, it required production time that we're losing now because it takes 2 hours from Constant Spring to go all the way downtown because you can only go 0 mile an hour.
What all those things cost, sir, please? All those things cost something called foreign exchange, don't?
Yes. So if we have that, I said to a gentleman, why don't we ask somebody on the street to say, listen, you have a car and there are 4 of us on the street that work in the same department. Instead of driving 4 cars, let's drive 1 car. And ask me how many cars you have at your yard, Mr. Charles. I mean, it is difficult to say to people,
yes,
you made it possible that they can buy a car now, but don't buy it.
But we love to live in a fool's paradise because we don't have a proper public transportation system. Therefore, we rely upon private transport, which is effectively what the bind that we have got into it. In addition, we have a budget which is largely supported by things that it shouldn't be supported by, because there is a huge amount of duty on every liter of gasoline that is sold, probably as much as half of the price. There is money on when the cars are imported, money when the car is licensed. All of these things provide public revenue that we say, okay, boy, we better have more of them because this is in fact how we are supporting, how we're eating our food. But it is unsustainable.
Well, are you saying we are importing things that you don't think we wanted or we should have? Are we importing?
Of course, sir. I'm in favor of I follow closely the very plaintive and proper sayings of the present Minister of Agriculture, who is pointing out that food sufficiency and food sustainability is so important. But he's a voice crying in the wilderness.
Because those who are in charge, Ronnie, find it easier to import and fill up the storehouse than go to St. Elizabeth and Manchester and collect it from the farmers. So when they have one container of things, I'm frightened that we're importing even cabbage. I saw some cabbage in Coronation Market, and they were 50% cheaper than the Jamaicans. I said, how is that? I say it's imported. I can't believe.
I saw one big cabbage that was pictured on social media, where it's a lovely head of cabbage, but the selling price in the supermarket was $1,354, sir. Well, what madness is that? If we are beholden to. I'm looking for the day when we can decide some of the basic priorities of our land. Some of the basic priorities. Food is an everyday business. Health is an emergency business. Education is a comprehensive business. Yes, those are the things. Yes, why is it that the people who never bothered to vote, the people who voted for the PNP, have no say in what education policy is, no say in what health policy is? In fact, it is not because the ministers of the JLP government are bad. It wasn't because I was more hopeless than probably I was when I was the minister. But it is because you one horse can't draw the cart, Pearnel.
And you may find out that a lot of who are running the thing did not vote.
But if voting is one thing, but if where they look to people for policy, and if they don't like what you're saying, or they can tie you up in a saga, so see worse than what is now deposited on the south coast of Jamaica, and they tie you up, and you're done. So you have a minister of health, and I'm not chastising any individual. You have a minister of health who is faced with the utterly embarrassing situation that his own ministry, which has had superintendents of half of $1 trillion over the past 10 years, has not provided one account for it, one set of accounts. And you know that it's not Chris Dupton's will and malice or teeth to cause that.
Yeah, but the fact that they have not presented an account gives an impression that maybe something is wrong. but maybe something is not wrong.
But you can't. People are coming to a conclusion.
Yeah,
why do we put
and
ourselves
they're
in
always
this
coming to a
situation?
negative conclusion. They're always coming to a negative conclusion because
We beg them to do that.
because the system that we work with is one that you have to get the majority on your side, and to get the majority on your side from the other side, you have to denounce the other side as either corrupt, no good, not managing. Come to me, I will do better. That is the political system that you and I are worried about.
So come we change the system this time round. I want to end this conversation with you. Important conversation. I want to end it with us saying, do not rush this thing. Listen first, think deeply, pray hard, and then reform.
I will
engage everybody.
I will back you on
Yes.
that because when Barbados became independent, when Barbados became a republic the other day, everybody said Jamaica must come, run, come, make a republic, Jamaica. What? For what? What difference are we going to see if there is an announcement that we no longer answer to the king?
That is what people were asking at the town hall meeting, and then get fufu answer.
And that,
Mr. Charles.
And that is why I'm telling you that you are going to call a referendum, and the Constitution has said what the referendum is to be already, what quantity of people must vote, and you are going to fall like other Caribbean islands where people say, listen, I don't see anything in that for me, so I'm not in it.
Well, they're saying it right now. Sir, we're going to make a difference. Thank you so much for the sharing of the thoughts today. For any excesses or any extravagances of thought, we apologize, and we look forward to continuing this discussion with people who share our passion next week on the Public Eye. In the meanwhile, we want to thank LaFane Wigan, Jeff, and all of the others who make this program possible, and we look forward to being back next week Wednesday on the Public Eye. Till then, many blessings. Take care.
You take care of yourself. Make sure you get back here safe and in one so we can discuss this matter. We still have 30 seconds. So you just make sure this is a very vital and important piece. And people, when they're waiting outside to tell me what I'm to say when next you come on this matter. The man from Red Hills wants to know.
We will always keep Red Hills informed. Thanks again. All the best to you.
Okay, Roddy.